Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to this Wednesday Wisdom, the Jewish Museum's live object talk series. My name is Lisa, and today you are joining us for an object talk on a pair of wooden Rimmonim. This object is one of over 40,000 objects in the Jewish Museum London's designated collection that shows the diversity of Jewish life and history. Our programs preserve the unique and diverse voices of Jewish communities and explore connections between faiths and cultures. The theme this week is Museum Week, which is an annual week-long celebration which showcases the importance of museums and cultural institutions. For Museum Week, I have selected an object that highlights the mission of the Jewish Museum to encourage a sense of discovery, provoke questions, challenge prejudice, and encourage understanding. So the object I've selected is a pair of wooden Rimmonim, which are on display in our Judaism, a Living Faith Gallery. And I'm now going to share my screen with you so that you can view the Rimmonim. Okay. So this is the pair of Rimmonim that I have selected, and I'd like you to start by just looking really closely at the Rimmonim. You will see they are separated into two tiers with a carved motif of alternating leaves and arched recesses. The Rimmonim themselves are about 35 centimeters tall. They're painted green. The leaves are gilded and the arched recesses are painted red. So you can see a little bit of a close-up on that now. Rimmonim is a Hebrew word that means pomegranate, and they are decorations that slide onto the top two handles of the Torah scroll. So you can see an example on the screen now of a Torah scroll with some Rimmonim on the top. It's most common to see Rimmonim made out of silver or another precious metal. However, these Rimmonim are unique because they are made from wood. We don't actually know that much about this pair of Rimmonim. We know that they were probably made in the late 19th or early 20th century, and that they are highly likely to come from the island of Djerba off of the coast of Tunisia in North Africa. While we might not know a lot about this particular object, it tells us the story of a Jewish community like no other. Djerba sits in the Mediterranean Sea off of the southeast coast of Tunisia and is home to one of the oldest Jewish communities in the world. It is the largest island of North Africa, and legend has it that it's one of the islands where Odysseus was stranded as he made his way home after the Trojan War. The island was later settled by the Romans, and around 655 CE, the first Arabs arrived. Over the next few hundred years, various regional powers such as Sicily and Spain tried to seize and control the island of Djerba. It eventually came under the Ottoman Empire until 1881 when the French colonized it. Tunisia gained its independence in 1956. The Jewish community on Djerba dates back to around 2,500 years. It's a community whose traditional Jewish practice is rooted in ancient customs. Today, it is largely self-sufficient, with people working as crafters, jewelers, shopkeepers, and market vendors. Locals work side by side with their Muslim neighbors and speak mainly Arabic. During the French occupation, the Jewish community maintained their Judeo-Arabic language and their traditional lifestyle. In the Second World War, Tunisia was occupied for 6 months by the Nazis, who deported thousands of Jewish men for forced labor in the desert. Several hundred Tunisian Jews died during this Nazi occupation. After the war, there were around 80,000 Jewish people living in Tunisia. But over the next few decades, those numbers diminished. Today, there are less than 1,000 Jewish people living in Tunisia, the majority on the island of Djerba. This unique community on Djerba is often called the island of the Kohanim. Kohanim means priests in Hebrew. It's called this because approximately 80% of the Jewish community on Djerba are descended from the ancient high priests of Judaism through the line of Aaron, the brother of Moses. It's believed that following the destruction of the first temple in Jerusalem in 586 BCE, a group of Kohanim escaped the city and settled on Djerba, bringing with them some stones from the destroyed temple. These temple stones were later used to help build the synagogue El Griba, which is still in use today. The El Griba synagogue, which translates as the extraordinary one, has a few fascinating stories about how it was created. One such story is that a beautiful and pious woman died as a result of a bonfire for the Jewish festival of Lag BaOmer. Her house burned down, but her body remained untouched by the flames. The community recognized that she was a holy woman and gave her the name the Extraordinary One. They buried her body next to the synagogue, which was given the same name in her honor. Lag BaOmer is a minor Jewish festival that celebrates the 33rd day of counting the Omer, which this year, as it so happens, was yesterday, the 12th of May. The counting of the Omer is a traditional practice that counts the days and weeks between the festivals of Passover and Shavuot. It's generally seen as a period of mourning, and Lag BaOmer represents the break in this mourning period. It is traditionally celebrated by lighting bonfires, having parades, and partaking in other joyous festivities. Unique for Tunisian Jews is the yearly pilgrimage to Djerba to celebrate Lag BaOmer. Each year, thousands of Tunisian Jews travel to Djerba to take part in the festivities. This includes praying in the El Griba synagogue, visiting the grave of the Extraordinary Woman, lighting bonfires, and participating in the street parades. Although there has been some anti-Semitism in Djerba in the past, for the most part, the Jewish community lives in harmony with their Muslim neighbors. This was made all the more evident in the 2019 Lag BaOmer celebrations just last year, since for the first time since 1987, the annual Lag BaOmer pilgrimage coincided with Ramadan. To mark this occasion of importance for the two faiths, the Tunisian Prime Minister, Youssef Chahed, a member of the Muslim community, and the Tourism Minister, René Trabelsi, a member of Djerba's Jewish community, organized a communal iftar meal, which is the traditional meal for Muslims to break the fast each evening of Ramadan. At this communal iftar gathering just last year, Jews and Muslims sat side by side next to the El Griba synagogue at sunset and broke the fast together. So I hope that this object has sparked your interest and made you consider the impact and the role of the Jewish Museum during Museums Week to represent the art, faith, and cultures of our many communities. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next week on Wednesday, the 20th of May at midday, when my colleague Emma will be presenting our next live object talk on Yiddish theatre in the East End.